Hi, everybody. Welcome today. Really excited to have Lynn Dragowski. And Lynn, Liliana, and I have known each other for a while. Lynn had, we'll call her a guest teaching slash student in our program. She had been taking classes with us a while back is where we met. And honestly, the work that I've seen of Lynn's from her previous company, the Cat's Pajamas, and really all the design work that I have seen of hers over the years is always to such an impeccable level. It really is she's an amazing designer, and really the quality and the skill and the craft is always evident in the work. And now Lynn has moved on to doing work as a UX researcher, recently at Google and now at Dropbox, if I understand correctly. And we're going to kind of in reverse do the introductions. By the way, before we do that, we also have Liliana Velasquez from Indeed, which is always great to have Liliana with us, and Josh Dickinson from Unfiltered Audio as well. So Lynn, if you wouldn't mind providing us a little bit of the background of your story and your journey to get to where you are today.
Got it. And thank you for that very kind introduction. Very nice of you to say that about my work as a designer, because I don't consider myself a designer anymore. So it is nice to hear that I was a designer, or was thought to be like a designer. But so I'm Lynn, and I have kind of an odd, curvy journey that got me where I am today. And it starts probably after college. Well, I guess as a kid, I was always really big into like Star Wars and that sort of thing. I love film. Went to college and studied communication, film, and journalism. Love journalism as well. And then when I was in college, I wound up getting the opportunity to work at Lucasfilm. So that was a huge dream come true of mine, to be able to work at Skywalker Ranch. I'm from San Francisco, and then also spent time in Southern Marin, so I was always a part of sort of the Bay Area. And so then I was hired there after I was there, and it was really fun. I mean, it was really great. However, you're not earning very much. You're not doing the most exciting of things, but that's all right. And then I wanted to take some time off to travel. I also loved to travel. So I took about 4 months off, and they transferred my job to LA, and I didn't want to move to LA. And so then I kind of got piecemeal here, project employee stuff. And at the same time, my best friend, just as I love film, she loved music, and she, got a job at Bill Graham Presents, which was the biggest, like the West Coast concert promoter here out of San Francisco, was a booker like at music venues throughout the city. And it was really interesting because we both landed our dream jobs, right? And it was fun, but I don't know if it's don't work in what you love or don't work entry level in what you love. And so we actually weren't the happiest. And because we were young, it's like, if I'm not happy, it's like, quit, move on, quit. So I've had just a lot of, different jobs and things. And then we kind of I think our family, they noticed that we weren't that happy in what we were doing. And I'd also worked in independent film at Film Arts Foundation. I'd done a lot of different things. So they said both of our dads technically work for themselves. Like, my dad's a salesman, and so had ultimately worked for himself out of an office, out of the house. And my best friend's dad as well had a lot of series of businesses. So they were kind of like, we had this example. It was like, well, nobody's gonna give you what you want on a silver platter, and so you have to go find it for yourselves. And because we had that example of in the family, like, okay, let's do this. And so that's what we decided to do. And foolishly, instead of just immediately thinking internet company, like everybody else, I suppose, was doing back then, what we did was we were roommates, and every night before we would go to sleep, we said, we're going to brainstorm one idea of something that we would do. We came up with tons of ideas, things we knew we could do, but then we talk about it, we wouldn't be happy doing it, blah, blah, blah. Then one night I said women's pajamas, and it was like, she was like, I was trying to get you pajamas for your birthday and I couldn't find everything. There were coffee cups or stars and moons and all this stuff. And so then we said, well, let's make that. And so that week, this is how young we were, in our early 20s, we just quit our jobs, and we didn't know what we were doing at all. You know, we didn't take Apparel 101. And so what we did is we took 1 year and we learned everything we could about the apparel industry. At the point, Academy of Art was way too expensive. SF City College now has a course or a program, but they didn't back then. So what we did was we would just be like, I'm going to work here for 3 months, learn what I can, quit, and go to another job. So we had 5 different garment jobs in 1 year. And then we started our sleepwear company. And that is a whole hour-long discussion upon itself, but it was wonderful. And we got to create the environment we wanted. That's kind of what we wanted to do, was we just wanted to choose the people we worked with, have friendly office dogs, carve out time to travel. So every other year I'd take a month off and travel, or get season tickets to, the A's or whatever we wanted to do. And so we did that. Fast forward over a decade, and had this pajama company called the Cat's Pajamas. There's a lot of things I'm really proud of with that. We sewed locally. All of our sewers were in San Francisco and Oakland. We had a really wonderful network of stores, showrooms throughout the country, things like that. Had some really nice press, and some TV spots. My favorite being they wrote us into Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was a real high point for us. But, thinking about even before Cat's PJs, I had 8 jobs, a lot of different jobs. I was just like not happy with one. So we've done this. Like, we didn't want to take over the world, meaning we didn't want to sew offshore and sell to big giant discounters or chains, things like that. And we've done a lot. Like, we've done a lot of things that we wanted to do. So we sold it. So in 2015, we sold the business. And then we putzed about for a while, but I'm not good at not doing anything. And so this is how I came to BCC. I've always done a ton of volunteer work. Animal advocacy is one area that I do work in. So our local shelter, the municipal shelter down by Aquatic Park, Berkeley Animal Care Services, didn't have a website, really. They had a page on Berkeley's city website. So I said, well, I made, in doing Cat's Pajamas, that's why, I'm not trained as a designer. Like, I've never taken a design course in my life. Photoshop, Illustrator, which were the tools of the trade back then, self-taught, built my websites, designed the websites. I got it to a point, ultimately, when e-commerce became so huge, I did have to pass it on to somebody else, but I would always design catalog, all that stuff, prints I could help design. So anyways, I said, okay, I should probably learn how to do this if I'm going to do this for the animal shelter. So there was a 6-week course at BCC, web development and design. I took it with Sarah, who was our teacher, who was absolutely fantastic. And after those 6 weeks, I had wireframed, designed, built the bones kind of on WordPress of the website, and then passed it along to a friend, web developer, who was able to finish it off. And so that's kind of what started me on that. And loved Sarah as a teacher so much, then decided I took another one of her coding classes, learned about UX. Then I learned about it. And all while I was doing this, I got constantly doing pro bono work and things. I'm always, you'll know as a designer, if once people find out that you can design, you will be doing every single poster and t-shirt and social media banner and everything. And it's fine, So I was kind of, doing UX that way. And then I learned about UX research. And I had also in college studied social psychology. Hadn't really used it in the pajama game or anything. I mean, probably I'm using it every time I interact with other people, but that really fascinated me. And so at that point, I decided hey, this is something I'm really interested in. Started just reading, I know there's no UXR class, say, at BCC, but there should be. But then I just started reading books, anytime I got a pro bono project, I just squish as much UX research as I could in it. I'm going to redesign your website. Let's do information architecture. Let's do a cart sort. Like, let's do this, and then, slowly got a UX research assistant job, moved on to another one, like part-time and then fast forward a little bit. And then I was offered a job at Google as a UX researcher. And so I worked for about 6 months on Chrome OS, which is Chromebooks. And the first day I started was the first day I ever touched a Chromebook. So that's how much background I had in that. But that's okay, because that's UX. I don't know if you know about UX research, but you're essentially like solving user problems and finding out their needs. So coming in as an outlier is actually a good thing. Then I worked, that was in Mountain View, which I live in Berkeley, so that was less than ideal. And then I was transferred to work for Chrome. So then for just under a couple of years, I worked for the Chrome browser, US UX research. I owned iOS, so the sort of interface and different features on iPhones and iPads. Then also did a lot of segmentation work if they wanted to look at different segments of people. I wound up doing a lot of Gen Z stuff, which was interesting. And then again, I like change. And so then beginning of this year, I switched to Dropbox, and now I actually, again, I touch a Chromebook for the first time. Now I now work in their innovations area, their new frontiers sort of line of business, and I specialize in intelligence. So I do machine learning and artificial intelligence research. So that's what I do right now. So it's really like
amazing.
The dots are just like, how do those connect? But they do. That's how UX paths can go. There's just a lot of, there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of avenues. There's also there can be a lot of walls, but you just have to like climb under them or over them or do what you need to do. And, be confident that you sort of can do that. So that in a nutshell.